On Thursday, DeSantisland probably wasn't the happiest place on earth. The powerful rival Disney crushed Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' pre-launch momentum by scrapping a $1 billion plan for an office campus that could have created 2,000 jobs in the state as he prepares to enter the 2024 presidential race next week. The action was the most recent development in a bitter dispute between DeSantis and one of the most significant businesses operating in the Sunshine State. The conflict is the result of a political collision over the Republican governor's staunchly conservative ideology, which will serve as his selling point to GOP primary voters. It also makes one wonder if Florida's citizens are paying a high price for his political aspirations. When CEO Bob Iger asked Florida if it wanted the company to invest more, employ more people, and pay more taxes last week, Disney's power play proved that he wasn't playing a joke. The governor's political career's most crucial week, when he is anticipated to soft launch his White House bid and make the crucial sell to fundraising bundlers, seemed to be targeted by the timing of the Thursday announcement. Disney partially cited changing business conditions as the reason for the move, but did not specifically blame DeSantis. But the point was made. On September 30, 2022, Orlando, Florida's Walt Disney World reopens as guests stroll down Main Street at the Magic Kingdom. Plans for a new $1 billion Disney park have been abandoned. When you are involved in a situation like this, it doesn't happen very often that events like this are random or coincidental, said Mark Johnston, a marketing and ethics professor at the Crummer School of Business at Rollins College in Winter Park, Florida. Disney's most recent political jab at DeSantis caused a lot of political fallout. It provided a huge opportunity for former President Donald Trump and other Republican primary candidates to claim that DeSantis is squandering jobs and business in the pursuit of higher office, and that he is bumbling through a misguided battle with the corporate giant. DeSantis was caught in the mousetrap, according to the Trump campaign, who had earlier predicted that the governor would lose his debate with Mickey Mouse. The campaign claimed the GOP frontrunner was referred to as the jobs president while in office in the same statement. The claim that businesses and residents are leaving liberal areas for a vibrant state that DeSantis calls the free state of Florida, and that his supporters have dubbed DeSantisland, is undermined by the fact that some of the new jobs in the Disney project were anticipated to be relocated from California. More importantly, the most recent indication that DeSantis was outwitted by Disney raises questions about the damaging perception that Trump and other detractors are trying to plant about his candidacy. That despite his re-election victory in November, DeSantis lacks fundamental political knowledge and strategic acumen. Following a string of errors made by DeSantis, who for months was viewed as a serious threat to Trump as he prepared for his campaign, this theme has gained traction. His run-in with Disney also raises the question of whether the governor's bullying persona, which he adopted to win over the conservative base, is based in reality. In other words, has DeSantis chosen an adversary who, having spent decades controlling societal currents and defending its reputation in the courts, is more resilient and skilled in politics than he is? If so, what might this portend for his ability to win a future election against a rival who is as wild as Trump? DeSantis might have come across a foe who is just as tough as him. DeSantis set up the mousetrap for himself over the course of the past year. While on a campaign trip to South Carolina, a crucial primary state, he recently attacked Disney, saying, "They may have run Florida for 50 years before I got on the scene, but they don't run Florida anymore." The disagreement between the governor and Disney stems from the company's objections to a law that DeSantis signed last spring, restricting the teaching of sexual orientation and gender identity to students in kindergarten through 3rd grade, and known by detractors as the Don't Say Gay bill. The action is a part of his campaign against woke diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, as well as his targeting of cultural issues. The tactic is intended to appeal to conservatives who think a more inclusive and diverse society is undermining America's traditional values. However, the governor's dispute with Disney, a sizable company that appeals to millions of middle-class Americans and has recently tried to become more inclusive, may be a sign of problems DeSantis may face in advocating for such policies to more moderate voters in a general election. Disney was allegedly pressured by leftist activists to adopt a stance that alienated Floridians, including parents and children, and that had nothing to do with its core business, according to DeSantis's claims in his recently released autobiography. He claimed that Disney had stopped acting in Florida's best interests in order to defend his subsequent attempt to seize control of a special tax district that gave the company broad autonomy. In his article, he claimed that the Walt Disney Company had chosen to bite the hand that had fed it for more than 50 years. In response to the governor's actions, Disney has accused DeSantis of violating its free speech rights and has filed a lawsuit that could cast a shadow over his presidential bid. DeSantis responded defiantly to Disney's announcement that it would halt the office project, in keeping with his bruising political persona. A representative for his office, Jeremy T. Bedford, stated, "Disney announced the potential of a Lake Nona campus nearly 2 years ago. The project never materialized, and the state was unsure whether it would succeed. Given the company's financial straits, falling market cap, and declining stock price, it is unsurprising that they would restructure their business operations and cancel unsuccessful ventures, Redfern added in another jab at the entertainment behemoth. Whatever the economic context of this dispute, it has significant political ramifications, as evidenced by some of his potential GOP primary opponents' prompt responses. The Trump administration released a number of statements, one of which boasted that President Trump is always right, and repeated his earlier forecast that DeSantis would be absolutely destroyed by Disney. Trump benefits from the situation because he can attack the governor's stellar economic and political record in Florida, which he is using as the cornerstone of his campaign, and he can paint DeSantis as weak and politically naive. Trump has long marketed himself as a renowned dealmaker. While this persona may not be supported by his years of dubious investments and business failures, it still has significant appeal among GOP primary voters, and could be used to further his criticism of DeSantis's track record in the private sector. Ron DeSantis's failed war on Disney has done little for his limping shadow campaign, and now is doing even less for Florida's economy, the Trump campaign stated in a statement. Former Vice President Mike Pence, a potential GOP primary contender, also attacked DeSantis by using the Disney announcement. He argued that the governor ought to have accepted the legislature's decision to ban the teaching of gender issues in the classroom. Pence stated on Fox Business that he preferred Walt Disney over woke Disney. I just don't think it's in the interests of the people of any state for a government to basically target a business that they disagreed with on a political issue, the author says. Democrats also voiced their opinions, hinting at potential attacks against DeSantis in the general election, should he win the Republican nomination. Florida Democratic Representative Maxwell Frost said on CNN's Situation Room that Governor DeSantis is more interested in running for president than running the state of Florida, and is attempting to out-Trump Trump in the GOP primary. And now the people of Florida are paying the price, he added. DeSantis probably has no choice but to intensify the confrontation given his political exposure on Disney, and the combative political persona that is essential to his hopes of winning the White House. He wants Republicans to know that I am not going to give in, just because somebody clamored for it, because the winds changed, said Scott Jennings, a former member of the George W. Bush administration and a political commentator for CNN. Consequently, the conflict with Disney is unlikely to be resolved while DeSantis is running for president, even though it may ultimately harm both the well-known entertainment company and the state that is home to Disney World and to him. The professor from Rollins College, Johnston, said, I think that there's a growing sense that how does this end in a positive way? Disney doesn't need to win, and the state doesn't need to lose, or the other way around. How can we resolve this so that both parties can move on, and that Disney and the state of Florida can resume their excellent relationship?